This is Luis Arraez, and depending on who you ask, he might be the most underrated player in baseball or the most overrated player in baseball. Arraez is a polarizing player. In his 6-year career, Luis has already been traded 2 times and played for 3 different teams. And now there's rumors of a 3rd trade and a 4th team on the horizon for the back-to-back batting title winner. How can this be? 16-year-old Luis Arraez signed with the Twins as an international free agent in 2013, and instantly, Luis earned high praise from anybody that watched him play. At every level of minor league baseball he played at, Arraez, at minimum, hit .309. He was a base hit machine, batting .331 across his MILB career, and Luis's jump to the majors went just as well. He was the perfect contrast to the Bomba squad that hit the most home runs as a team in MLB history. Arraez brought a contact-first approach to the plate that was being phased out by the league in favor of ideal launch angles and exit velocities to prioritize home runs and extra base hits. And yet, Luis proved the contact hitter still had a place in baseball. His .334 batting average and .400 on-base percentage as a 22-year-old rookie was spectacular. Add in the versatility of playing second base, third base, shortstop, and in the outfield, Arraez instantly became a Twins fan favorite. Fast forward to the 2022 season, the first of Luis Arraez's batting titles. He led the American League with a .316 batting average and set career highs in home runs and doubles. Arraez hit an incredible .366 with runners in scoring position. Time after time, it was Luis getting the big hit in big spots for the Twins. But little did he, or Twins fans, know at the time that 4th season would be his last in Minnesota. The Twins traded Luis Arraez to the Marlins in a shocking move to acquire Pablo Lopez. But maybe it shouldn't have been so surprising. It is rare to see a team trade a player of Arraez's caliber, especially when that player's contract is as cheap as Arraez's was. But the Twins are a thrifty team that tries to reduce spending when possible. They for years struggled to attract or develop a true ace in the rotation. The Twins had internal infield depth, so they decided to sell high on the reigning batting champ to try and finally get that star on the staff. So now in Miami, inexperienced in nearly 400 games played, Luis Arraez was poised to reach new heights. And that he did. Throughout the year, Luis made headlines as he flirted with the chance of being the first 400 hitter since Ted Williams achieved it back in 1941. Baseball media and players around the league cited Arraez as the modern-day Tony Gwynn. And although towards the end of the year the 400 talks disappeared, Luis Arraez's .354 batting average not only clinched his 2nd consecutive batting title, but it was the highest batting average in MLB since 2010 when Josh Hamilton hit .359. Luis Arraez was nearly unstoppable in the clutch. His .434 clip with runners in scoring position was the highest in baseball by almost 50 points. That production was a prime reason the Marlins snuck into the postseason for the first time in a full season in 20 years. Luis Arraez had become a superstar in the most unexpected way. A pure contact hitter whose career high in homers was just 10, had turned back the clock and circumvented modern baseball's correct idea of hitting. But when the Marlins had a dreadful start to the 2024 season, just over a month into the new year, they decided to trade their best player to the San Diego Padres. Moving across the country, Arraez had another fan base to win over, and he did so quickly. His first game with the Friars, Arraez went 4 for 6 in a 13-1 trounce over the D-backs. And just a couple days later, he'd hit this walk-off winner against the Dodgers. The first month in San Diego, Arraez batted .398 and looked like he might even top his monstrous 2023 campaign. But the remainder of the year would be a bit up and down. Arraez hit .297 from June 1st till the end of the regular season. But despite stumbling a bit towards the finish line, Luis Arraez would hold on to the batting crown, finishing just 4 points ahead of Shohei Ohtani, blocking what would have been the first batting triple crown since 2012 and the first in the National League since all the way back in 1937. With the calendar turned to October, headed to the postseason, Arraez hitting woes continued. In 22 plate appearances of the Padres' second round, Arraez hit just .182 with an OPS of .364. As his struggles at the leadoff spot hurt a Padres lineup that failed to score in the final 24 innings of play, leading to a defeat in the NLDS by the Dodgers. Come today, with Arraez expected to earn about $13.5 million in his final year of arbitration before he hits free agency after the 2025 season, the Padres are looking at trade options. The public perception and fan reaction towards Arraez has plummeted over the past year, with many calling him one of MLB's most overrated players. So, how can the reigning three-time batting champ possibly be looking at being traded for the third straight year? Let me preface this with stating some implicit bias. I'm a huge Luis Arraez fan, and to this day, even though the acquisition for Pablo Lopez was probably the best choice for the Twins, I very much miss Luis Arraez. But that doesn't mean I'm immune to criticism. Luis Arraez is going in the opposite direction of baseball's trajectory. Coaches and front offices rely on analytics more than ever, and data shows that it's extremely difficult for a player with Arraez's batting profile to measure up to a more power-oriented hitter that achieves higher exit velocities, ideal launch angles, and upper echelon swing speeds. Arraez's .354 batting average in 2023 was a good 17 points better than the next best player. However, WRC+, which measures a batter's offense with a 100 score being league average, Arraez was just the 16th best in baseball. Still very good, but as we've seen in today's game, batting averages in the realm of .350 just aren't very repeatable or sustainable. Much of Arraez's batted ball data was the same in 2024 as it was in 2023, but he hit almost 40 points less this past year. It was still good enough for the batting title in the National League, but Luis Arraez's WRC+ was brought down to just 109 this season, ranking 71st amongst qualified batters. Add in that Arraez has regressed defensively. He was graded -3 defensive runs saved, -11 outs above average, and -5 fielding run value at second base. Arraez's value is quite lower than you think, especially considering that poor defense has led him to a mostly full-time switch to first base, which he still doesn't play that well. He suffered a handful of injuries to his lower half that has limited his athleticism and mobility, causing both his defense and base running to suffer. Players with low power numbers tend to rely upon their speed. Even if they can't regularly hit the ball to the wall, or even better, into the seats, they can rely upon their speed to turn singles into doubles and doubles into triples. Luis Arraez doesn't have that ability. These past 2 seasons, he's been in the bottom 30th percentile in sprint speed, and he's only 27 years old. But let's pump the brakes, because we do need to show credit where credit is due. Because Arraez is doing sensational things that are nearly unheard of in today's game. As I mentioned, Luis Arraez has won 3 batting titles already in his 6-year career. That puts him with greats like George Brett, Pete Rose, Carl Yastrzemski. Only 24 players in MLB's long history, dating back to 1876, have won 3 or more batting crowns. And with Arraez at just 27 years of age, he's got a great chance to add more. This season, in 672 plate appearances, Luis Arraez struck out just 29 times. That is a 4.3% strikeout rate. The MLB average strikeout rate in 2024 was 22.6. Luis Arraez makes contact more than anybody currently in baseball and anybody since StatCast began collecting data back in 2015. 93.2% of Arraez's swings, he makes contact with the ball. But in that number, creates some of the problem with Luis Arraez. Throughout the years, we've seen Arraez's walk rate diminish from a near 10% down to a career low in 2024 at just 3.6%. Among qualified batters, only 2 players had lower walk percentages than Luis Arraez. Now, walking isn't everything. Arraez was objectively extremely effective in 2023 despite a mere 5.5 walk rate. But base on balls raise floors. Hitting a ball 100 miles per hour is great, but it can be caught. If the home plate umpire calls ball 4, you are 100% getting on base. Arraez's .346 on-base percentage this year ranked 28th amongst qualifiers and was easily better than the league average of a .312 OBP. But you start to see an issue when the batting champ is that far down the list in terms of getting on base. Coming into the league, Luis was particular about what he wanted at the dish. He'd only swing at pitches out of the strike zone about 23 to 24% of the time. Great numbers. Arraez also saw well above league average pitches per plate appearance. MLB average is about 3.8 to 3.9 pitches per time at the dish. Arraez saw 4 or more pitches in each of his first 4 seasons, topping out at 4.23 in 2020. Today, Arraez is one of the most frequent chasers at pitches out of the strike zone, swinging at would-be balls 35.3% of the time, more than 10% more than he did at the beginning part of his career. And Arraez's average plate appearance is now one of the shortest in the league, at 3.5 to 3.6 pitches per plate appearance. Luis Arraez's mastery at getting the bat to the ball is no doubt an exceptional talent and an incredible tool, but I believe it's made him a bit arrogant and reckless when he comes to the plate. I have no doubt that Arraez is one of the best eyes in the game. He's got great knowledge of the strike zone. He just chooses to swing anyway because he knows he can hit the ball, and he does. He makes contact more than anyone else and also puts the ball in play more than any other player. But in doing so, many of his at-bats are surrendered to weakly hit balls. Arraez had some of the lowest average exit velocity and hard hit rates in 2024. Now, Luis Arraez isn't inherently the most powerful guy out there, none aided by his extremely short swing and league lowest swing speed, but I believe the shift in plate approach is a signal to why his exit velocity numbers fell so much. Arraez barreled the baseball just 6 times all year in 2024. That's compared to 25 barrels in each of the past 2 seasons while having fewer plate appearances. Of course, Luis Arraez has excellent bat control and uses the whole field. He's almost a complete equal in terms of hitting the ball pull side to center field and to opposite field. But it's difficult to utilize that ability to full advantage when the ball is coming off the bat as slow as it is and oftentimes in less than desirable launch angles due to the contortion needed to hit some of the out-of-the-zone pitches he swings at. Not to mention, Luis's decreasing speed makes legging out those infield hits and stretching those singles into doubles more difficult. The bottom line is this. I think Luis Arraez is a tremendous hitter. I absolutely understand the comparisons to a guy like Tony Gwynn. Given Arraez's ability to make contact at unprecedented rates and to sting base hits all across the diamond. However, there are undoubtedly flaws within Arraez's current approach. I know, in 2023, although it wasn't to the same extremes as this past year, Luis Arraez had his best statistical year despite an increased chase rate and a decreased walk rate. But I think being more selective and waiting more on his pitch will ultimately result in the best version of Luis Arraez. Combine the plate discipline he had in his Twins years, alongside his more experienced contact capabilities, and that is a far more sustainable hitter and an excellent one at that. Not every batter needs to hit 30 home runs a year. A guy like Arraez is crucial. I know I said Luis needs to walk more, and he does, but Arraez's ability to get knocks with runners in scoring position, putting the ball in play, is also vital to a team's success in an era of baseball where so many batters strike out with ducks on the pond. I think, as with anything else in the world, balance is needed. Luis will be harbored by his lack of quickness, and his current poor fielding will definitely limit his overall value he can bring to a team, especially if he's stuck at first base. But Luis Arraez is a rare and special talent, and he's more than capable of being a great hitter, even if it doesn't fit the mold of modern-day baseball. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. It's been a long time on it. I've been a big fan of Luis Arraez for a long time, so most of this stuff is kind of just off the top of the head knowledge for me. Whatever team he winds up on in 2024, I'm very curious. I know the Yankees are supposedly in talks of maybe trading for Luis Arraez. The Mariners are another team that's been brought up. Let me know in the comment section. Padre fans, do you want him back for 2025? Where do you guys think Luis Arraez is going to play next year? Thank you all for watching this one. There's plenty more to come.